So as I say in another video, I was considering, or I'm considering going abroad to another country. Um, just need to get the money for the passport. The reason I have not get the money is because recently they have kind of installed a kind of techniques of disruption that will be like the Stasi, which was the East Germany. Let's say they will use this technology to damage some of my electrodomestics. This is as simple as damaging one chip. In the same way that you could create an aneurysm, you can simply damage, let's say, a transistor, and then you can damage any piece of technology. And just recently as well, someone entered to my room and damaged the 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 wheels of my bicycle as well. When I stopped to talk in that way, it's because this technology is interfering, so I do not speak as I would like to. So then I was thinking to go abroad, maybe, yeah, I was thinking to go, and it might be Chile, a good place to go because they have just included neuro rights in the constitution, and this means that, okay, on the other hand, well, I was thinking it's really sad because Australia is supposed to be one of the advanced democracies. It's supposed to be one of the, let's say, places to aspire to live. And it's very sad that many people, I mean, I can see that people live in confusion here. I can see that people put their best to be funny, put a kind of niceness in the air. And this is the kind of, yeah, double speak of George Orwell, in which people try to be nice as much as they can, but also extremely careful because they are walking in eggshells. So it's a culture in which they don't feel safe because by the default they're supposed to be someone high, that is someone who punish them and have to dominate. We are not talking about there should be a power that will bring balance every time it is needed. We are talking about you must have fear, and because without fear there is no order. So fear is order. And this is the kind of hops an approach that can be given of the readings of Hobbes. So yeah, it's like you must be in fear. You must be ruled by fear, by domination. If you have no fear and you don't create trouble, that's trouble because you have to be in fear. That's how I feel, that how I interpret this situation. You see a lot of young people really, really anxious. And kids are kind of happy, but I know that they are using this technology upon them. I know by a fact, by my experience, that kids, even babies, had been or are kind of, I'm not really sure if it's a target, but this technology can mediate through them. And it's that. I'm not sure how where are their parents. I'm not sure what is the perception of reality of everyone because these one-to-one conversations that you will have without being with on fear, without being like without being, yeah, maybe walking in eggshells about maybe what you say will be misinterpreted. Yeah, because this kind of situation in which context is more important than meaning, uh, do not communicate anything properly. You cannot start a discussion because you are paying more attention to something, whatever it is, that is not what is being discussed. So if the point of discussing is to discuss around everything and anything that is not the subject of discussion, it's not a good discussion. And if this, well, my people might say this is culture, but this double speak was used for domination during the colonization. This kind of double speech was used to say, oh, we know the language, you are not that smart, we know what's going on. But it has rushed to the point, especially with technology, to the point that we cannot even communicate between us. Actually, it's really fun to know you because you are very spontaneous. And sometimes, yeah, or we are used to feel like we are smart asses as long as we have people in front of you to whom we assume no understand what's going on. And this makes us feel intelligent because we know something that you don't know, even if what we say is nothing important or remarkable. Um, but this is precisely kind of small psych dispositives. This is a panopticon in which people is the jail and the jailer at the same time. So because but this is that can be break, okay? This is not normal in the sense that it is possible to break. It just needs a little bit of mental sanity. But the great problem is that the intromission of this technology is so widespread that people cannot distinguish what is themselves and what has been implemented as a kind of forcing without consent implantation of their thoughts. And this works in several ways. They can implant thoughts just by reinforcement in the sense of repetition. They can implant thoughts because they have identified where the thought is, and then they will simply reinforce that neural network. They can reinforce that kind of ideas, thoughts, because people will watch social media and then they will what they see in social media has already reversed has already reverse engineered what people think. Let's say when I cough, this feels I have a little bit of flu, but this is this technology that as well pushed me to do that. Well, this technology, yeah, that it feels that it has already reverse engineered what are the core values, ideas, principles of the person, and on top of that, they start to build some rhetorics. Perhaps if I were to manage this technology to make someone racist, then I will identify the person, and maybe this person primes family. And then this person primes especially the women of, of his family. Then the next thing that I will do is to put something like the women of the family are the best blessed that some person could have. Then I will pass something similar. Uh, Something like, yeah, life is a wonderful thing with music, light, but without the women in your family, all these things seems to be outshined. Then you will, let's say, I will say another thing that will be also for the same line. Something like something like your mom, your grandma, your daughter are the things that made you as a man, and without them you would not have been yourself. And that's why we all wish the best to them, and that's how we should treat every single woman. Then, then I set the values of the person clear through this kind of propaganda, and then I start to push this kind of rhetoric in which I gonna, from that, create someone who is racist. So then I will start to say, I will start to not go in any race, but it's like, yeah, definitely the women of this great family of Group B uh, have this tradition that does not exist in the women of Group B. Then I belong to Group A, and I start to think that women in Group A are better than Group B. Then I start to maybe push things like women in Group A, as you can see, are these traits that your mom, your grandma, your daughter has, and we all share in the neighborhood, and we all love, and we have always by tradition loved this, and we are so proud. We will never let this thing go. This is our honor, our duty, is who we are. Nice. Then we will have another situation in which we're gonna unite the honor that we have compared with the honor that lacks the group B, and we keep doing this until the difference is clear, because we're gonna introduce defects in the group B and create separation, etc. And that's technically how this situation works. So people does not distinguish what is there, what has been implanted, and that might be the reason why we're having a wave of extreme right across the world. And now that people who is in the extreme right, and I think many of these leaders were loyal to themselves. I do believe, especially those who now realize, oh shit, it's more complicated than what I thought. Especially those who might be the example that I did before has nothing to do with this, okay? Because we will have politics of extreme right, but it's different to say that someone is racist, okay? But there is people who will prime nationalism, and that's kind of, they call it, yeah, extreme right. There's people who will prime, yeah, and nationalism will say we prefer nationals to immigrants, and not necessarily people do has to be, uh, let's say, racist, yeah. But you will have now the situation in which many people in power is like, oh shit, we are here in a kind of extreme right environment. Elon Musk is doing the sign, whatever that means. I think he was kind of joking, because I think nowadays, he's not stupid. He's probably the only one allowed to do that. Yeah. But then you will have another people that will not dare to do that because, yeah, their political career or the political image. And those might be the most dangerous people who could do that. Okay? If they, I mean, they might be like, they might be like, oh shit, Elon, don't do that because they're gonna cut us. And Elon will be, fuck it, man. This is where we are. Yeah, and that will be funny because then you are not talking about a kind of hypocrisy, and it could be a kind of sarcasm, you know. Also, it's the kind of humor that Elon has. But truly, I don't know. Now, the United States is a power that has dominated, and if this technology is powered by the United States, then you will have a lot of people in the extreme right in Europe, especially, that will be like, holy shit, now that we are in presidency, we see that we had been kidnapped, and this is betraying what we are here. Because we cannot achieve the independence, the nationalist independence that we thought we could achieve. And then you will have people trying to be more balanced. And I think this is people who, even if they are this kind of extreme right ideology, they are they are truthful to themselves. Whilst others will be like, this is how power is. I'm gonna sell my whole country. Yeah. So, well, I was talking about this because, yeah, I was thinking to go abroad, and my first thought was to go to Europe precisely because the kind of um, academic background, philosophy, but also, as far as I know, they have no neurocognitive rights or neuro rights, and if there is a kind of deal with the United States in which the United States can order to other countries what they have to do, what they don't have to do. Yeah, because here in Australia, the situation with the double speak is that my case never, ever, ever, ever gonna go out public, and it means that because people wants to do the, I mean, you're speaking a double, I mean, using double speak, you pretend to reveal something that is a double speak strategy that actually solidifies that it doesn't exist. Whatever you do, it will solidify that it doesn't exist. And then people will try to do tweaks, tweaks, tweaks. But precisely the doublespeak is what solidifies that it doesn't exist. And the system in place that are happening around me will be more common in the future, and you will have not only one people talking about them, maybe a lot, but we will be all atomized. Maybe in the future there will be reasons for atomized people, but right now there is no reason whatsoever. They will have done this to me, or they should. Yeah. Then mm, I cannot regulate my biology. I cannot sleep the time that I want. If I feel tired, then they give me some kind of energy. So taking a nap in the afternoon is something that I cannot do. I'm not allowed. If I try just to rest, I will start to have this enhanced uh, kind of yeah, because that's a kind of cognition that would be, yeah, you see it right now is acting. It's like enhanced interrogation, and people might not understand. People might think that this is how it is. Maybe some people find themselves in a good position, but in the long term, it's gonna be an utopic place because, yeah, it's not going right. It's not going in the right direction, and it's gonna be scary. Honestly, for this to change, more people have to be brave at the point that they have to risk their careers, their jobs, People can come together and do this together. People like me, I cannot convince a group. I cannot convince one person. Of every single fucking email that I sent so far related with this, probably is around 20 so far. Only one person replied me, and I didn't notice it was someone in the United States. That well, I think I got them here. Yeah, the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I found them in, I found them online, but still they are in the United States. So, oh shit, now I'm screwed. No? Okay, then, so I was looking at certain things here, yeah, related in Chile. So, well, I'm trying to go through it because Chile might be out there. At least the place in which I can say, hey, at least if you secure neurocognitive rights, then maybe you don't have the same kind of deal with United States. Otherwise, yeah, I will be condemned the rest of my life to have this kind of I would like to call it punishment, but for punishment you have to have done something wrong. But I would say it's this kind of attack. Yeah, I would have to have this kind of attack uh, forever for no reason, just because some evil people wants to do that, just because some evil people likes to do that, just because some evil people knows that they have the power to go away with this. So they are so powerful that they can do this to anyone. They are so powerful that they can go away with this. And with this technology, you just need enough computing power to dominate the world, to dominate everyone in society. And if everyone, whoever knows so far that consent to this and doesn't raise their voice, the future should not be surprising. Yeah, the future should be embraced as a kind of option. No, I didn't. No, it's more like it's a kind of choice, a past choice. Yeah, and that's what it seems, sadly. And okay, I thought, yeah, you know, some people really wants to change the situation, but to change the situation, first you're gonna do something different. So different. Otherwise, won't be any kind of change, and that includes create things that has not been done before. Because we want to replicate the things, we want to be safe. That if I keep a step, then everyone will do it. But it's more, it's more like people going out in a cave, and some people might put their nose out, and the other ones stay behind. The one who put their nose out come back. It's because no, not the, she don't wanna get risks. Then maybe another person puts the nose forward, but maybe through time everyone start to put a little bit the nose forward, but they are not going out. They are just, I mean, they are just waiting for a miracle, and miracles doesn't exist. I'm sorry. We all create reality. Yeah, we all create reality. And but okay, so I want to just read this. It's just well, I was talking this kind of. There's a lot of hope, but there is also a sense that because the double speak, because what people is used to. I know that the structure of masonry exists here, but I don't know how it works. But it seems that this alone will hold certain things as a continuum, even if it means that it's gonna risk a lot for humanity. So, so then it seems that I'm in a situation, at least here, in which uh, even if people want to change the thing, they might use me for do some changes, but in the long term, I won't get freedom. Yeah, and if so I don't get freedom, and unfortunately, they won't get freedom either. And this seems the situation gonna start to be for people who choose to continue doing the double speak, precisely live in a kind of not non-reality or something like that. Okay, let's go to this. Neuroimaging technologies, such as brain-computer interfaces and neurofeedback, have evolved rapidly as new tools, cognitive neuroscience, and as other potential clinical interventions. However, along with these developments, concern has grown based on the fear of the potential misuse of this technology. In October 2021, Chile became the first country to include neuro rights in its constitution. The present article is divided into two parts. In the first section, we describe the path followed by neuroscientists that led to its inclusion in the Chilean constitution and the neurotechnologies usually involved in neuro rights discussions. In the second part, we discuss the potential problems of neuro rights. We begin by pointing out some epistemological concerns regarding neuro rights, mainly referring to the ambiguity of the concepts used in neurolegislation, the difficult relationship between neuroscience and politics, and the weak reason by urgency in legislation. Okay, so urgency in legislation. How this change? It's because you press the fucking media to put people like me there. That's it. That easy. Put people like me there, and I know what to speak to the public because no other people, no other person dares. Easy. So we see that the weak reasons for urgency in legislation, and the weak reason is that I'm telling you, fuck, you're gonna get mind control. Most of the attacks that you will see happening indiscriminated will be somehow directly or indirectly caused by people whose brains has been intervened with neurocognition and the mixture of other technologies that you will find in your phone, etc. Okay, as happen to be. Now, it says we then describe the dangers of overprotective laws in medical research based on the detrimental effects of recent legislation in Chile and the potential risks posed by neuro rights to the benefit of neuroscience development. Okay, so potential risk posed by neuro rights to the benefit of neuroscience development. First, if the neuroscience development doesn't bring benefits for human, but only benefits for the development of neuroscience, then suck it, it's not worth it. It's not worth to develop a science that will not benefit humans, but most likely will benefit people to control humans. Now we go here. This article aims to engage with the specific community interested in neurotechnology and neuro rights in an interdisciplinary. This is the fucking that doesn't allow me to speak. And in the future, this will be common. This the whole time. A neuro rights in interdisciplinary reflection of the potential consequences of neuro rights. This article is part of the theme issue Neurofeedback, New Territories, and Neurocognitive Mechanisms of Endogenous Neuromodulation. In recent years, in tandem with the growing capacity of neurotechnology to access neural information, concern has grown among certain scientists and political groups that neural data could be used for purposes other than medical or scientific advances. As I say, I participate in this study in the Swinburne University in which they scan my brain with a couple of the most advanced scanners from the southern hemisphere, and then I start to experience different symptoms that I never had before and that are related with anything but schizophrenia. Okay, now, uh, and well, this current of thought warns us that, without regulation, further development in coding brain activity could be open a Pandora box, and that we must act to protect the human mind before it is too late. The Pandora box is not one demon that escapes, it's many demons. Perhaps I say before in these videos that humanity has had privacy for a long time, let's say 1 million years, in every single kind of communication. If you talk in your phone, if you write letters, if you have a video call, you always have privacy in your brain. But for first time, we are experiencing a technology in which you cannot have privacy in your brains. And this feels like since my mind was uploaded to a supercomputer, the voices would reply everything depending on what I think as me saying something, but depending on what neurocircuit activates. So if I'm talking about jokes, that goes there, his brain has a kind of weight about this being a joke, and the next time I do a joke, regardless of the situation, then I will have a voice that will tell me you are immature. If in the opposite situation, let's say I saw something that I don't like, or maybe someone says something to me that I don't like, but I think to myself, okay, I'm gonna hear this person. I'm not gonna simply backfire. I'm gonna pay attention. Then the voices will tell me mature. Okay? And it feels that a lot of the times this technology allows me to think what the other person is saying. Or thinking, but as I know exactly in words, but let's say the person can tell something like, I admire you. And then I'll be communicated that through this technology. Or you are a prick, you are a dick. Then maybe because I say something that wouldn't be seen as nice, or maybe because it was assumed that I was doing an action that the other person didn't like. And the voices will say that. And it's very automatic. Then, okay. So the Pandora box of people not having this kind of privacy means that for first time in human nature we're going to experiment different kinds of dynamics among humans, and most important, like in Australia, this is done under national security, and that's a problem because I don't represent any national risk. I have never meant a risk, not for Australia, not for other country, not for a person. Okay, so this shouldn't be happening to me. And this is the kind of Pandora box. It's not, we are talking about cognition, interaction among people, control, and the creation of policy that will define everyone's lives. Okay. This updated version of the fear of technology reflects deeply rooted concerns about losing our fundamental attributes as human beings, such as our liberty, privacy, and agency, and seems to be only matched by current concerns about the vertiginous development of artificial intelligence. Yeah, obviously, the artificial intelligence is behind, and worse things will come, says the Bible. Okay, following the rapid advances of neurotechnology for neural decoding and simulation in the form of brain-computer interfaces and neurofeedback, the term neuroethics was born just a few decades ago. It is defined as the examination of what is right and wrong, good and bad about the treatment of perfection of or unwelcome invasion of and worrisome manipulation of the human brain. The term neurorights was coined at the beginning of this century with pioneering works by Boyer and Sententia, together with the right to cognitive freedom and its first use by Lenka and Adorno. These authors stated that neuroimaging technologies pose a fundamental ethical and legal and social challenge, determining whether or under neural whether sorry, right there the voices start to say something, and that was really annoying. Uh, just 1 second, I want to adequate my screen. Now the voices says that I'm doing history. But one of the things that I noticed is that they will, just at the beginning, especially when I was in the hospital, they will make me laugh. They will make me angry. They will make me a lot. But then I start to, oh fuck, this feels like the Coca-Cola sweet spot, in which they tell you a few things and then others. So definitely there are things that relate to reality, but many other things is just so they got you there and create the perfect slate in which they have the sweet spot between keep you entertained and suffering. It's not living, well, it's entertained and sad. It's more like suffering and entertained. It's like Marilyn Manson song that says like you will always be entertained. Yeah. Now, this author stated that new neuroimaging technologies. Wait, on this, what is okay? New neuroimaging technologies pose a fundamental ethical, legal, and social challenge, determining whether or under what conditions it is legitimate to gain access to or to interfere with another person's neural activity. Okay, the ethical and legal challenge. Look, the legal challenge to say when we take humanity away of a person should not be on the table. Look what's going on with me. And this kind of neuroattacks started 12 years ago. Remember, this is not an experiment that they say we're gonna take a Colombian man, we're gonna do experiments with him. No, it was like we're gonna deliberately attack him. Maybe because we think something, or maybe because we fabricate some bullshit, or maybe because we want to test some bullshit. So I assume I assume this in which probably they're gonna build the most stupid stuff, but it's because I don't know upon which bullshit they build up. Remember this. I was in Colombia. In Colombia, we have an ex-president who will kill everyday people, dress them as guerrilla fighters, and put them in the TV. So when you were taking lunch, you will see, oh, the government is killing the terrorists. The guerrilla fighters are being dead. Well, in the suburb where I used to live in Colombia, many people got recruited to work, and then they were killed in another place to then appear as guerrilla fighters in the jungle. Yeah, this was people in my suburb in Bogota, in Suba Rincon. They were recruiting this. They were sorry recruiting, but they will convince people to have a or something like a let bring here. We'll give you a job. You will start to work immediately, and they will just say to this kind of, let's say, disadvantaged young people, they will put them in a truck and kill them somewhere, and then do this kind of dressing in which people will appear as as if they were guerrilla fighters who died in combat. So they might thought, he's Colombian. He comes from a place that doesn't value life. Therefore his life is less valuable. And in his contact phone numbers, you will see that there is people who students that will participate in the Youth Communist Party. Although I was not there, never been there. I never was there. And then look, we can say he's a communist. Look, we can say he could work, I don't know, as a labor, but maybe he's a cover spy. Maybe he is a Russian spy. Maybe he's a Chinese spy, a Cuban spy, whatever you want to. I like this kind of being a spy from the Atlantida because it's crazy, but who knows if there are bunkers underneath the water and then these people get even more paranoid, But then, but at that time, let's assume they have a reason. And if this reason existed, then they should not have prolonged those attacks and that suffering. Okay, maybe they start to apply this kind of electrocutions because they thought, maybe he's Russian. Maybe I don't know, honestly, I don't know at that time. Maybe they thought, he might be a Russian spy. So if we electrocute him, he will discover and know that we know that he's a Russian spy. Uh, but yeah, I will just simply be electrocuted and trying to get out of that kind of situation. And then I will be like, oh shit, what the fuck? Maybe it's a kind of a convulsion that I have, but I was totally aware, and that this will be repeated. So maybe spies will know that this technology exists, and if maybe a spy starts to experience that, will panic. But I was a civilian. I was maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm tired, and it was a kind of convulsion. I don't know. Whatever. That's it. But it was not the case. But okay, whoever stretched this bullshit is because has no concept of value of life. Rather, life does not have value for them. Okay, these new rights usually include the right to personal identity, free will, and mental privacy, equal access to mental augmentation, and protection from algorithmic bias. Neuro rights raise questions from the perspective of several disciplines, including philosophy, ethics, medicine, neuroscience, law, and politics. A crucial question has posed by Lenka is to determine whether neuro rights should be interpreted as rights in the philosophical sense, moral rights, as rights in the sense of international human rights law, legal rights, or all about, by enshrining neuro rights the Chilean constitution in 2021, Chilean legislators seem to have been the first to decide how to respond to this extremely complex question. And I forgot that I have something in the stop and because I'm doing something. And there have been already 45 minutes of boiling water. Oh shit. Yeah, still super sick. So better to put something that might kill this kind of virus in my throat. So yeah, so yet the implementation of the constitution of the constitutional norm has not been. Remember that I cannot speak and read properly as it should be. I'm technically having no rights whatsoever here. Yeah, as I do this. So let's say the voices right now says that I'm an investigation. So maybe I produce this kind of knowledge. They know how to manage this kind of situation inside the Australian Secret Services agencies. So this kind of situation is taken under control in the way that it never reaches the public, or when it reaches the public, it's too late, or whatever. Because I don't know what's going on inside. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it has been 13 fucking years. This kind of technology is so outdated. Outdated. What is happening here is that the models are getting super fast updates. So we have a kind of old technology. That imagine having the automobile, and during 100 years, the automobile couldn't speed more than 50k per hour. And after 100 years, suddenly in 1 year, this thing can go 1,000 kilometers per hour, and the next year it will be 2,000. Next year will be 10,000, and this is when it's gonna happen. Yeah, because this we are so behind in regulation that I'm afraid of. I mean, I'm dying. I'm dying. They don't allow me to sleep. They push hunger every day for a long time. There has been tortures every day. I feel pain around my body. There are signals that depending on what I say, let's say they will sometimes put pain in my right or in left thumb or right thumb, like referring to something like attack, just attack or attack for the left wing attack, right wing attack in the political sense. I did not consent to nothing in that shit, and it feels automatized because I'm technically sometimes talking to an AI model. So I did not consent about that. And if I do consent, then I'm sure that I'm saying goodbye to my freedom. Yeah. Now the AI says then I'm too short, and most of the time it's talking to me in Spanish. But when I start to have these voices in Spanish, at the beginning they were in English. When I start to have them in Spanish, then I thought it led me to think this is then a technology because I am in Australia, and now they give me the pain in the right hand side thumb. So if there is any kind of device that is recording the waves at this spot right now, then they will confirm that at 7:15 p.m. the 31 of July of 2025, a signal was sent to my right hand side thumb, in which they will be playing right here. It's a kind of nerve. So right here. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting what they do in this sense. But it's very sad. I cannot love, I cannot live, I can simply not do the things that I would like to do. I cannot travel. I cannot even put my camera in high definition. But that's the kind of jokes that I do just because I'm not enjoying this. Okay, I have some material things, but remember, I'm still like, I don't know, 5K, 6K in debt. Just recently, I'm gonna do another video in which the insurance just recently sent me a kind of, the insurance sent me a kind of questionnaire, and I send them back another questionnaire. So, yeah, is your company aware of any behavioral nudging concerning me for motivated purposes? Is your company aware of any usage or planning the uses of neurocognitive technology to collect my data and which could affect or could have affect my benefits or premiums as a client, etc.? But I'm gonna talk about this later, okay? But let's put it here. This is what I sent. Yeah, just because then I save my time doing another video. Yeah, and this is technically what I say. This is all what I say. Our purpose is to make a difference in people's lives. Our client philosophy is to make a difference by helping people when they need it most. Great. Now, mm, yeah, they are asking me for this amount of money because I did a cryptocurrency um, project that again I was attacked when I was working in that project. And you know how is cryptocurrency? I also invest in NFTs. I invest over 100K. This is technically the whole thing that they gave me when they gave me the permanent total disability. And I lost a hell lot of money. And so my portfolio is full of sponges of Pavia metaverse. So, yeah, not secret, I did a bad investment there. And well, that's another situation for another. Okay, yet the implementation of the constitutional norm has not been exempt from criticism. This article briefly explains the current use of those neurotechnologies and the process by which neuro rights came to be part of the Chilean constitution. Although neuro rights should encompass all current and new neuromodulation technologies, we will focus on the most targeted neurotechnologies in this debate, namely BCIs and NF. The second part discusses some of the problems raised by neuro rights in the hope that this discussion will be used to the scientific community interested in neurotechnologies. The first problem posed is philosophical, dealing with several epistemological issues raised by the concept of neurorights. The second potential problem is practical in nature and is based on the local Chilean experience of implementing similar laws and the threat posed to medical research and practice by overprotective legislation. While these problems belong to different areas, we believe that the present important areas which illustrate the complexity of this discussion and help separate the wealth of confusing aspects of this phenomenon. Moreover, the philosophical concern is closely related to the practical problem, since an epistemological problem is in conceptualization can generate negative consequences for later legislation in this regard. Chilean legislation in neuro rights might be an interesting example of this powerful connection. Brain-computer interfaces and neurofeedback. Our ability to study the human brain has advanced extraordinarily since the first electrophysiographic recording in a human almost exactly 100 years ago. Since then, different milestones have marked a century of astonishing accumulative technical progress that has made it possible to greatly improve our understanding of the neural process. Right there, they kind of slow me down. This is annoying. This is annoying because right now I'm doing this course of national security policy, and believe me, they just allow me to read a little bit properly, but I cannot read any paper. I simply stop to try because if I try to read a paper when I'm by myself, I'm not allowed. But I will might start to do it just in front of the camera. But this poses the question that I will it will be more difficult for me to prove my situation. Yeah. But at the same time, I might be able to graduate. But at the same time, they done this to me already for over a year. So, and this is not even 50% of how fast I read. Yeah, this is not even 50%. So that is the thing that doesn't, yeah, does discourage me to do so. And right now as well, I'm starting to have headache, and it has been happening for a while. It's just that sometimes I'm getting used to. Yeah, but it's like a kind of headache the whole time. Mm. Now, it's very interesting that, I'm a kind of cognitive slave. I'm a neuro slave, and I'm reading this kind of thing. So, neuro rights might include, or usually do not distinguish, both neurotechnologies that decode or monitor neural activity and those that simulate neural activity, also known as neuromodulators. Okay, they should include, otherwise, what is the point of neural rights? This is the situation. Decoding your brain, that they have the data of your brain. We are an USB, yeah? Monitor, they do decode what I think they do, are able to write stuff, and they do also monitor my whole brain. So it feels as they maybe, I don't know, it's very likely that, they put me in one of these kind of terrorist laws in which they do, I don't know, they enhance interrogation, and some ethicists say, no, this is right to do. Yeah, that's okay. And then I will ask to them, do you know how it feels to be in my position? Do you know that this is not appropriated? Have you ever experienced what I experienced? Then you should not say what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, as you have never experienced this. Yeah, and I don't have to earn a PhD for it. This should not be happening. Yeah. Uh, it's like technically you are condemning another academic. Also, remember, guys, if you checked other videos, it's like sometimes, yeah, my speech is better one sometimes than others, and this is annoying. Yeah. Um, but they will see also sometimes some patterns depending on what I record and so on. Let's say right now I'm studying the national security policy. I don't know what's gonna happen with it. Ideally, the world will say, "Shit, we have to get together to this because if I'm right, that look, I just sent yesterday another to emails to Slovenia. Okay, Dear Slovenian authorities, blah blah blah, whatever. I sent because they also gave an aneurysm to my ex-girlfriend. Look, this is related with the uh, my university, okay, whatever. But look, this is the situation that can now this this is a mere stupid situation because this is what happened when you hijack someone's brain. You don't fucking know what you are messing with because for first time in human history, humans do not have the human faculty that always have had for a million years. That is privacy. Then whatever I think is assumed by someone who assume other things and then start to do other stuff. Yeah. Perhaps if I might be thinking about something about someone, and that person will interpret that in the way that the person seeing is the way to interpret. Let's say, I remember when I was reading the books of, okay, one hour, I'm just gonna continue, make another second video.